Hey, what's going on, guys? It's VidJaGameguy here, and I've been preoccupied lately, so I'm super late to getting this video out. But man, it is hard to believe that the Attack on Titan manga is actually over. I may not have joined the manga train until towards the last year or so of chapters, but boy was it a wild ride. And with the ending of the manga being out for a while now, I'm ready to get my thoughts together for this video finally. Obviously, the ending is extremely controversial, but I'm not here to swing you to my side. I just want to discuss it and say what I thought about it. So, did the ending clown on the series, or does it deserve the crown? Well, honestly, I don't think the ending was that bad. I originally would have given it like an 8 out of 10, but after thinking about it a little bit, I land closer to a 6, which, isn't great, but also isn't super bad. I definitely don't think this chapter ruins the series like I see some people online say, and if you do think that, I'd like to hear why in the comments, because I just don't agree, but I guess I could see kind of why you would think that. So, let's dig into what I thought about the chapter and what it did right and what it did wrong. So, obviously, we're going to start at the beginning of the chapter with Aaron's conversation with Armin. It's finally revealed that Aaron's plan was to make Armin and them the heroes, and obviously, this pisses off all the Jaegerist fans who actually wanted Aaron to destroy the world, and just to be clear, I wouldn't have minded that ending. I think it would have been an interesting end to the series, but I also didn't think that we were going to get that ending, and this ending always felt like the most likely end, so maybe that's one of the reasons I don't mind it. Also, I know this ending is getting compared to Code Geass, but I actually haven't watched Code Geass. I will get around to it eventually. As a big mecha fan and how good everyone says it is, I know I gotta get to it. But I can't talk about the comparison because I don't know Code Geass, so I'm gonna skip over that part. But I also don't think that two pieces of fiction having a similar ending is a detriment, so I really don't care. I'll be honest, though, and say parts of the conversation between Aaron and Armin were what I wanted. One thing I really desired out of this chapter was knowing Aaron's side, so getting that was great and what I wanted. But this ending only works for me because of two things. One, Aaron killing 80% of humanity was a must for this ending to make sense in my eyes, because otherwise humanity would just continue to put down Eldians because they outnumber them so much, and more importantly, the tragedy would not have been big enough to distract from the underlying racial prejudice or push people to get over it for the sake of humanity's survival. And the second thing is that this allows the ending, to make sense in my eyes, is that Titan powers are gone. Aaron achieved his goal of wiping out the Titans, and now the fear of the Eldians should start to disperse, and the main factor separating them from normal humans is also gone, thus doubling down on the benefits of my first point. Well, this conversation definitely has its issues. The Ymir loving Fritz thing is stupid. I'm not going to say anything about that. I don't think it should be relevant, nor does it make sense. It's really messed up, and the only way for it to make even a shred of sense is if it's Stockholm Syndrome, and that's a whole other can of worms that I'm not even going to open, but yeah, that was unnecessary. Another problem I had was Aaron directing the Titan that ate his mom. I don't think it's quite the big deal that everyone makes it out to be, though I can understand why. But it does bring into question that entire basement conversation with Reiner, which really sucks. It's such a great and powerful scene and I understand why everyone's pissed off about it. And then I also don't like the part where Aaron is very obsessive about Mikasa. This doesn't bug me because oh my gosh, he's a simp now or whatever. It's just that the wording is really cringe, and I feel like it could have really used some better wording. I think a lot of people don't like this part in this chapter in general, though, because they feel it destroyed Aaron's character progression, which is what I see a lot online, but I beg to differ. I never had a problem with Aaron's character since the beginning, so I think that helps, but it seems there are a lot of people that think Aaron sucked until he became the emotionless badass Chad he acted like post-time skip. I think this chapter actually shows that Eren always cared and had the emotions, but seeing the memories and knowing what he felt he had to do, he shoved all those emotions down to become this badass that the fandom seemed to adore. This conversation, and specifically this part, shows that it was all a facade he put on to play his part, and also shows how hard it was for him to keep acting the way he did. While a lot of people seem to call this character regression or stupid, I thought this was really interesting and introspective, despite the cringiness of some of the things he was saying. And the last part I want to talk about in the conversation is the fact that a lot of people are upset that he didn't have answers to Armin's questions. And I can agree to this feeling like a cop-out or underwhelming. I could see that. I feel he might have been pulled by Ymir's will or something, but at the end of the day, this part just feels meh to me. I just don't think it bothers me that much for some reason that I can't explain. Maybe I just am invested, but not so invested that my life depends on how well the ending being perfect or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't that big a deal to me for some reason. And then we're gonna move into the part where everyone that was turned into a Titan last chapter comes back. And again, God, this feels like a cop-out, and this is a part that I was really, really against at first until my friend explained, well, they were Titans, and now that the Titan powers are gone, obviously they change back, and when my friend said that to me, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't change the fact that I would have rather them stay dead for a little bit of a better impact and keeping everything going, and like this, it just would have changed things. I would have preferred they stay dead, but that's not what happened. And then this leads into the best moment of the entire chapter, which is Levi looking out to see the ghost of all of his fallen comrades. Now, the Survey Corps has completed its mission, which is oh my god, it's a beautiful panel and a beautiful end to the story of the Survey Corps and Levi. And I think everyone can agree on that. I didn't see a single person that didn't like that bit. Like, that bit's incredible. And I have no complaints with that part. And I know a lot of people complained about this part, and everyone's like, where'd the worm go? And it's like, well, Titan powers are gone, so I would argue that that means that the worm disappeared, and honestly, I'd forgotten the worm was even a thing until everyone started complaining about the worm, so it would never really bother me that much, because I was like, the worm thing was never a big deal to me, but, like, I understand why everyone thinks it's a big deal, because it's like, that was, like, the catalyst for Titans as an existence and all that shit, but, like, I don't know. I just don't care. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal that the worm just kind of disappeared, in my opinion. And now we move into what I would consider the epilogue parts of the chapter, which is starting with Historia's baby, which seems to be some huge controversy with people thinking it's stupid that she just married some farmer and had a baby, but honestly, this is something I just don't understand. I never thought the baby was going to be relevant. I also apparently there was like a thing going on that people thought Eren got Historia pregnant. Like, even my buddy said that, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? There's nothing to indicate that. So that doesn't make sense. That never was part of it that made sense to me. So I just kind of threw that away. And also, I frankly don't even think Historia was that relevant of a character. Like, sure, she got development during season 2, and she was like a focal point in the Kenny arc where she becomes the princess, but she always felt like a side character to me. She never felt that, like, important. Like, she was literally felt like a pawn to get the Survey Corps in the position they needed in the Kenny arc. Like, that's essentially what she was in my eyes. She just never felt like a relevant character, so I just don't understand this uproar over Historia, as I never even thought she was important in the first place. But I'm probably in the minority there, apparently. Then it's revealed that Paradise are now a militant country who carry on the Chad Eren's ideals, and I find this freaking awesome. It feels realistic. Everything doesn't pan out perfectly, because nothing ever does in Attack on Titan. The people in the wall are now the problem, spurred on by Eren's bullshit, and I feel this gives the ending more depth. If everything was perfect in the ending probably just wouldn't sit right. I mean, for Attack on Titan to end on, like, a perfect high note, that just wouldn't, again, sit right with me. This feels like a logical progression, and I really enjoyed that they added this bit, because it's like, now the people in the walls are the enemy, but they're trying to solve it through peaceful means, and different things like that, with our characters being the ambassadors of peace, who will continue to tell the story. Let's avoid the weird writer handwriting thing that probably didn't need to be in there. and all that stuff. And then we have the end, which is the seagull scene. I don't think Aaron is that bird. Apparently there's this thing going around that the Aaron is that bird, and I get it's called a Jaeger or whatever, but like, I don't think that bird is like actually Aaron. Maybe it was like representative or something. I don't know. I don't understand. I think it was just a nice send-off or whatever under the tree with Mikasa. Also, did anybody with when Mikasa was carrying the head thing earlier in the chapter that it would get a parallel to the ending of School Days? I was cracking up at that. It's bad, but that's the first thing that came to mind, and I hate that was the first thing that came to mind. Now, is this ending perfect? Hell no. Like, no. I don't think it's a travesty that destroys the series. And I think that if you remove or change a few scenes and improve the dialogue, the ending would be a lot better. But I find this ending acceptable, even if I do hope they'll take some creative liberties with the anime's ending to improve it, such as improving the dialogue or removing or changing a few scenes. I think that could be pretty good. Overall, though, it was one hell of a ride, and I'm happy I got to go on it. And I'm excited to see the anime return this winter. This was such an enjoyable series. It's been such a big part of my life, and I'm just gonna love it. Whether I love it, even though that I think that the ending wasn't perfect, and obviously a lot of people had a lot of problems with the ending. But I'm fine. I'm gonna move on with my life. It doesn't destroy my life or destroy my enjoyment of the series. So I'm happy with it. So was it a clown or was it a crown? Well, neither. Frankly, I don't think it was as bad as everyone's saying, where it's just clown, but I also don't think it's perfect, so it's obviously not the crown. But sorry this took so long to get out. This is a long time coming, but if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And maybe I'll be posting some more AOT content when the anime ends, coming back later this winter. So I hope you guys will stick around for when that comes around. And with all that being said, I guess I'll just see you guys in the next video. Later.